Are you somebody that wants to start manifesting more money and you want to do it fast? Well, you are in luck because in today's episode, I am going to be interviewing my amazing friend Adriana, and she is going to teach us how we can start manifesting more money and how we can do it right now. So if you want to start manifesting more money, make sure to stay tuned. And if you would like to watch all of my videos around personal development, mindset, basically how you can become the best version of you possible, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you get notifications as to when I put out new videos. And let's dive into the episode. Okay guys, welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Business Podcast. I am so excited today to be bringing back one of my beautiful friends to the podcast. Adriana, thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure. I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Now guys, Adriana is the first person that I have brought back onto the podcast purely because she just has so much value to offer. And the thing that I love about Adriana is when you encounter Adriana, when you come into her presence and you experience her as a person, you see that she has this side of her that is an absolute badass in business, but then she also has this side of her that's like a little bit, we call it in Bali, woo-woo, a little bit spiritual, and plays into that sort of realm as well, which I'm so fascinated by, which you know that I'm so fascinated by that, Adriana, but yeah, that's something that I absolutely love about you, is because you do sort of have your feet in both of these ponds of killing it in business, but also in a way that's in such alignment with you as a person that's more spiritual and a little bit woo-woo. For someone who doesn't really know what manifestation is and how that works, could you explain a little bit down that route? Because I think so many people are trying to do it without even realizing that they're trying to do it.
And this is what's so funny, right, about manifestation. I want to start with this point, and it's that you are doing it whether you like it or not, whether you choose to use that word or not. Yeah. So it's up to you what you want to call it. Call it law of attraction, call it manifestation, call it a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence, but call it what you want. And the thing is that how many times in your life have you thought of something or done something and then it happens? The other day I was like, I really want new blue jeans, but I wanted to go try them on, and I couldn't get to the shops at the moment. I was like, ugh. And then my friend dropped off a bag of stuff that she didn't want anymore. It was like last week. She dropped it at the door. She left everything at the door. Went, looked through the bag, and lo and behold, there was a freaking pair of blue jeans. However, I did not specify that I wanted them to fit a certain way, and I didn't like how they fit me, and I was like, fuck, I'm a great manifestor, but we need to work on the specificity. And this is such a good example, and like a recent example in my life, that we are doing this. That's manifestation. Putting something out into the universe, out into the world, out into whatever you look at it as, being at the vibration of that, which I'm going to talk about later, and then attracting it into your reality. And this happens for objects like the jeans. This happens with money. This happens with personal experiences. This happens with feelings. This happens with travel, in so many areas of your life. And imagine if you could become a really quick vibrational match to everything you ever wanted. Would you be like, nah, no thanks? Or would you be like, tell me a bit more about that? And in a nutshell, that's all manifestation is. However, of course, there's lots of principles and things we can remember around it. But, you know, in the basics of it, that's all we need to know.
It's funny, actually, for this episode that we're recording now, I messaged you and I was like, hey girl, I really want to have you back on the podcast. And you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking the other day, I want to come back on your podcast.
Oh shit, the day prior, I was like, I should reach out to a bunch of podcasts. And I was like, I want to get on a few more. And then I was like, actually, I'd love to be on Taylor's again. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit with it. And then you message, and then someone else messaged the same day and was like, hey, been meaning to reach out to have you on my podcast, like, do you want to jump on? And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, thank you. And this is the thing of being in that vibrational match all the time. If I had have been like, nah, I don't want to really do that, or like, I'm not good enough for that, or whatever, and not matching that vibration, I wouldn't have got those offerings, and so quick the next day. Like, this is the thing. This is how quick it can be.
Another example of manifestation, but potentially not in such a good way of manifesting, is when I was in Bali, I was suffering with really bad imposter syndrome, thinking, oh my God, who am I to be living in Bali? Like, why am I here? What am I even doing? Like, how is this even happening? How are people paying me to do their social media marketing? Like, I was just having so many limiting beliefs were filling my head, like, and it got really bad this one particular week. And then at the end of the week, I actually got kicked out of the place where I was living. Manifesting isn't always such a good thing, and that's why you really need to try and be conscious of it, because if you're not, you will end up manifesting negative things into your life. So
yeah, and the thing is that we're always bringing things into our reality, like we said before. So in that example, which is so good, I love it, it's so good, it's funny. You know, it's like you felt like an imposter, you got a symbol in your life that was like, well, here, you don't belong here, so you can't live in this house anymore. And these things are happening all the time. Like attracts like. We hear all these things all the time. Our thoughts create our reality. If I am in fear of something, I call it into my reality. If I'm in fear of something, there's something within me that I need to look at, that I need to work through. It's an invitation to me to work through that. However, if I'm not sitting with that invitation and I'm ignoring, it turns into something in your reality that's like, bang, I'll hit you on the head now because you didn't listen before. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, shit, I need to listen to this. And the thing is that earlier it's already tapping, it's already whispering in our ear to pay attention to me. There's something out of alignment here. And then we create more things in our physical reality that are not what we wanted, are not a vibrational match. But we're playing in that space of fear versus in that space of love and faith. And we always want to come back to that notion that, you know, everything is happening, you know, for me, and not to me, and that I am always learning from the next thing that's happening. But I'm also becoming so acutely aware of my thoughts, feelings, and actions, judgments, so I can keep creating the life I want. People are always like, how do I change that though? I'm like, I'm hardwired to think this way, and I get that. And I always use the example of, what if we started really small? What if every time I thought I'm an imposter, I caught it and I thought, okay, what's one thing I did really good? Okay, I launched my first podcast episode. Okay, another thought comes in, feels really intrusive. Okay, what if I caught that a little earlier? What if I caught it? What if I thought, felt, acted on something that felt more in alignment to me and started to become more of a vibrational match? That whole like fake it till you make it. It's not necessarily what we want to be doing, but if I act at the vibration of that, then I'll start attracting more of that in. I always use the example for people of getting a totem. And if people know my work, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, she's talking about totems again. But it's so powerful. Having a totem means that you can have something you're focusing on and it can show you how powerful you are. So for example, for me, for so long, it was a white feather. And I would just see them everywhere I went. And I've shared this story a lot. And then a few months ago, I was like, I want to switch it up. I want to play with this. I want to see a brown butterfly. So, and I was like, if I'm really as strong of a manifestor, if I think I am, if I really think I can bring whatever I want into my reality, I want to see a brown butterfly. The next day, I went on a walk with my niece and nephew, and my niece was literally like, look, a brown butterfly.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this shit doesn't lie. And this is such an easy way for us to start to flex this muscle and practice this technique.
If people want to not necessarily manifest butterflies and maybe want to manifest some more money in their life or in their business, how would people... If someone's never heard about manifestation before, but they love the concept that you've just been talking about, and they're thinking to themselves as listening to this, okay, well, maybe I want to start manifesting some more money into my life. How can they go about actually starting to do that? Like, what are some steps that they could take?
Everything you want is already yours. And this sounds so far-fetched to people when they're like, but I'm broke. And I always remind them we have to, this is where I'm going to use that word again, be a vibrational match. And I want to explain that for a second.
Yep.
So when I say that word vibration, we are made up entirely of vibration. So whether, again, it's like, it's science. We are made up of vibration. So if I start walking around and saying like, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, and I'm not being mindful of my language, and I am, looking at my account and opening and going, ugh, or even worse, trying not to open my account too often because I don't want to see what's in there, or talking to people and being like, oh, on Friday nights, everything's half price, so we have to go there, like noticing these patterns and this language, and then we get more of that. And then all of a sudden, we decide before the fact. So this is really important. So before I have $10,000 in my bank account, I need to decide before that I'm abundant, that I'm worthy, that I am wealthy, that I am all the things, and I need to act as if it already is. However, constantly with clients, this is missed in the space of money. We're doing it like nobody's business in these other areas of our lives, but then around money, we're like, oh, no. And I've recently been teaching this concept called money as trauma. So the thing is that money doesn't get worked on, I guess, the same way, or healed, so to speak, as other trauma does. But we hold so much trauma around the way we think, feel, and see money based on our childhoods, based on our parents or who raised us. And that I could go on forever, ever and a day. Well, then we get to look at, okay, tick, we get to see what is underneath that is blocking me. Okay, I'm looking at what's underneath, I'm rewiring a thought pattern, and then I'm acting as if it already is. So I'm saying things like, maybe that's just not a priority for me right now. So instead of that, I can't afford it. We've heard things like this before. And then we can go wherever for dinner. I don't mind because I'm abundant. And in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'm like freaking out a little, but I'm a vibrational match to this. And then I start just talking about how money is abundant and how it comes to me easily and effortlessly. My favorite saying is, this is easy. And one day I just decided everything was going to be easy. My business, my life, all of it. It's easy. This is easy. Making money, it's easy. And I always share, I work the least amount of hours I ever have in my entire life, making the most amount of money because I don't need to work hard for it because it's easy. So then we start to call it in. So now we're starting to move through it and we're starting to call in more money. And then we're still like, okay, but I don't have more money yet. So things like, okay, how do I call it in unexpected ways? So how can I be open to receiving an abundance of financial income in unexpected ways? Little story time. We all know I love story. January of this year, so January just a few months ago, I was doing a moon circle with my friend, and as I do, and we're doing a letting go and a manifestation. So remember, we have to clear space to create, and this applies for money or anything else you want to manifest. So speaking of money, we need to clear space with our finances. So what do I need to do? What do I need to let go of? Maybe I haven't followed out my accountant. Maybe I haven't been doing my taxes properly. What do I need to clear? Clear, create, clear, create. It's a flow-on effect. We write the list, we burn it because we're in a bloody moon circle. So, we're doing all the work part of me. And then we wrote a list of 10 things we wanted to call in. I write my list. I'm a pro manifestor. So writing my list, and I decided that month I think I wrote down $8,000. So it was a month of January. I was only going to work a week because I'd taken time off, and I wanted to make $8,000. That's right. And I'm like, kind of sounds like a stretch. Like the business was set up. I had taken all this time off. I was like, I'll see what happens. Wrote it in the list, closed it up, we folded it up, and I put it in what you can call like a vortex box. Yeah. So essentially it's just a box you create or whatever you want, and you put the manifestations in there to say, I'm surrendering to the highest good. I'm not in control of this anymore. You are, and I trust.
Yeah.
Really important part of manifestation. So remember, all of this applies to everything. So January is going on, and I'm no $8,000, nowhere near $8,000, mind you. It was a really, really slow month for me. I wasn't really putting in the work I usually did, but I was like, but I manifested my $8,000. And then I started putting in some work. So I was like, okay, I'll match it more. I'll match it. I started putting in some work in the business, nothing. And I kept thinking about this $8,000 tip there. Don't think about it so much, because I was attaching to the idea of it. So I ended up letting it go, and it was Jan 30th, I think. And I was like, you know what? It's Jan 30. Pretty much all my other manifestations had come to light. And I was like, you know what? It's all good. It doesn't matter. It's all good. I'll move it to Feb's got a manifestation list, and we're all good.
Yeah.
And then I get a text from my brother, and I part own a business with my brother, and he was like, hey, I just unexpectedly, like, I know this wasn't due for a while, but I just sent you the money I owed. Hope that's all good. If I were you, I would check your account and move it. And I'm like, it's like, okay, that wasn't due to like March of this year, so another month and a half away. And I opened my account. By this time it was Jan 31st, and the last day of Jan, whatever that is, if that's Jan 31st, I opened my account, and it was way more than the $8,000 I had asked for. And it was exactly at the moment I had surrendered the attachment and the need to that coming into my reality. And I was like, and that, my friends, is how we manifest money. And of course, it's not always happening that easily, but it's this really beautiful example with all those little bits in the middle of, okay, I could draw on that. Okay, I can draw on that. And teaching money from a practical sense is something I love to do, and it's so vast. But from the manifestation point of view, it comes back to those really simple principles. And then how do we just allow it into our reality?
Guys, this is always a work in progress for everyone. Like, even for myself, I still struggle with my money mindset, because my limiting belief, I have a limiting belief, and I've spoken about it a couple of times on this podcast. I had a limiting belief of I'm not worthy to receive money, and I worked through that, and now it's I'm not worthy to receive large amounts of money, because I have now a nice steady income every single month. Like, it's something that I've worked on, but it's always a work in progress. Even for you, like, you will be able to manifest up to a certain point, but we've spoken before about like a glass ceiling when it comes to your income.
Well, I don't know what I was calling it then, but my money container. So a money container is the container in which is the finances we can hold at the moment. And we have containers in all of our lives. So we have an energetic container around us all the time of how much love we can hold and receive, of how much abundance we can receive, and then of course how much financial, monetary, wealth we can hold. But to expand a container, we have to know what it is at the moment. So for a long time, my container was $40,000. I'd get to $40,000, there was something to pay for, something would step up, something would happen. My container of what I believed I could hold was $40,000. And then I had a container of what I believed I could, like what you're saying, receive from clients. And then a container of what I believed I could receive from like a miracle, like unexpected places. And I needed to work on all the containers. And like you said, it's always a work in progress. I'm always working on expanding mine. And then we can look at it and be like, okay, so if my money container was, let's use mine, $40,000, what would I like it to be? What feels just outside my comfort zone? My comfort zone says 60,000. And then I was like, I can push that. And I made it 80,000. I've gone over that hurdle, and I'm like, okay, new money container. But this time it felt more like a stretch. So I made 130,000. And this actually felt really good. I was like, oh, that feels kind of a stretch. But what helps is I needed a why attached to that. When I teach money from like a vaster kind of perspective, it's not to hoard it. Money is energy. It's meant to flow through me easily and effortlessly. I don't want to hold on to it. I don't want to hold on to it for a rainy day or in case something goes wrong. I decided that I wanted to purchase my first property. Therefore, my money container expanded so quickly and easily because I had a reason for it to expand.
I think it's such an important concept to actually sit down and have a think about, because this is not something that they teach you in schools. Well, I've only ever heard it from you, to be honest. It's not something that I don't think it's something that many people talk about, but especially when you are sort of working in a job or don't necessarily have your own maybe side hustle or brand or whatever it is, if you are still working in a job, your money container will be set to whatever your income is with your job. And if you want to push outside of that, you're really going to have to look at like other ways that you can make money if you're not willing to leave your job. So what can you do extra on the side? Like, how can you push that to be further? How could you try to start manifesting random amounts of money? Like, look at all the different things that you can do, because if you want to improve and if you want to be making more money, especially in your business, you need to be looking at other options as to how you can bring this sort of money in. This is new to some people, because I think these concepts are going to be quite new to my audience, because we're mostly business focused. But how do all of these things come together to help you to just become the best version of yourself and help you to achieve your goals or to make the money that you want?
Yeah, I love that. So imagine if like every day you woke up and your intention was to simply just be a vibrational offering for everything you wanted. High vibing, joy, love, heart-centered, living from your freaking heart, touching other people's hearts, smiling at a freaking stranger, doing beautiful things, living from joy, being in alignment with who you are all of the time. And that means constantly checking in, does this feel good to me? Is this in alignment with me? Is that truly who I want to be? Does that match? If I do this, will I feel that I'm a vibrational offering for all the things I want to call into my reality? And when we bring all of this together, like what you're saying, then our life just expands before our eyes and we don't need to do anything. Because I'm ever expansive and I'm just expanding because I'm living from a place of joy. And it becomes so much less of like, okay, how do I manifest that and make sure that this is like this and this is like this, and how do I strip it all back, come back, especially if it's new to you. How do I focus on joy? How do I come from a place of love? How do I wake up and think thoughts of love? How do I look at my bank account and think thoughts of love? How do I make this more fun? If I want to start a business or I'm early in my business, how would I do this if I didn't know how to do it? How would I do this if no one had taught me all these ways I should and should not be doing something? That's how I started all my businesses. I had no clue what I was doing. I was just like, I'm 21. I was 21 at the time. And I was like, what if I just started? What if I just tried? I don't know. And that's alignment. And I kept checking in. What does that look like to me? And this will inadvertently affect everything. But it's believing you have it all already within you, because you do. But it's believing that it already is. I already am abundant. I already am super successful. I already am all these things simply because I am. And being that and checking into that vibration all of the time. And of course, there's so many things underneath this, which is so much of what I teach. You know, our trauma, our limiting beliefs, like you mentioned before. But how do we just keep coming back to the simplicity of it? And like you said, especially if it's new to us, it's allowed to be simple and it's allowed to be fun. Like, the more we are vibrating at that level of like, this is just fun and I'm going to play and see what happens. That idea sounds kind of kooky, but I'm just going to try it. Oh my God, there's butterflies freaking everywhere. Like, I'm down for that. And then you will see it kind of, I guess, integrate and flow through into all the areas of your life, and I guess, so to speak, come together. And you'll notice little bits where that drop off and you're like, okay, that's not fully in alignment with me, and I want to match that again, or I want to bring more joy and play there, or I don't want that. That's actually not useful to me anymore, and that's okay too. And our opinions and our minds and our flow is changing all the time.
And I think the main thing that I take away from that is really letting go of the attachment to the outcome. Yeah, that's right. I think that's really what it comes down to, and just sort of starting to accept that. And it's funny because I've had a couple of sessions with you, which I'll get you to explain towards the end what your sessions are. But I've had a couple with you. I write down like crazy notes is what you say, because I just love everything that you say. But one of the things that I wrote down was, I am ready for this adventure down my soul path because I am. And that's enough. I am enough. I am already who I need to be be that, like, I already am the best version of myself possible. I don't need to try and become something else because I already am. I just need to match it to that level and let go of the attachment of having to achieve it by a certain age, or feeling like you have to achieve these goals in this amount of time, or whatever it is. If you really start to let go of that and just live from a place of love and happiness every single day, that's when you'll start to really feel the change inside. And then once you start to feel it, you'll start to see it.
Yes, I love that. That sums it up beautifully. I was like, go.
And I think it's also opening your mind up to, like, for example, guys, if you do want to start trying to manifest things, and maybe you want to have the same opinion as same view on life as Adriana, as that everything is easy and miracles are everywhere. Open up your eyes to what the miracles actually are, because a flower blooming can be a miracle, or seeing a butterfly or a newborn baby, that's a miracle too. But we put these perceptions and we put a certain stigma around what a miracle needs to be. It needs to be something big and grand and like life-changing, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. Like, because when you told me you decided to make your life easy, I also made the same decision. And like, then every day I just started saying, oh my God, my life is so easy. My life's so easy. My life's so easy. And then I would just start seeing different things that I'd never noticed before that made me feel like my life was so easy. I'm like, oh my God, it's so easy that I can just pop on my scooter and pop down to the shops. But that was never an easy thing in my head before, like, even though it was easy, but I just never thought about it. So if you like open up your mind to these different things as to what you want to bring into your life, or different mindsets that you want to have, and just pick up on like little things. It can just start with tiny little things, then like big things will start coming eventually, but you just got to start with the little things first, I think.
Exactly. And no matter how big the big things get in my world, I'm always still focused on the little stuff. Always, 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 because that's what makes me me. And I always go back to that version of me when I was first coming out of a very like deep depression and a phase of anxiety. It was a miracle that I'd wake up and eat and not fall back asleep. Like, that was literally my miracle, and that's okay. You know, and if that's where you're at, that's a miracle. For so long, that was one of the toughest things I had to do, was to wake up and convince myself to eat food and survive. And that is a miracle. How do we just come back to that? And no matter even the days I'm getting random big sums of money, or, you know, my friends asked me to be on a podcast and I just thought about it, like, no matter what's happening, I come back to like, oh, it was so cool today that I went for a walk and I saw a pink feather. I actually did that. And I was like, oh, that was a miracle. And it comes back to this. And yeah, it's allowed to be easy. We're being told otherwise. And it's removing these conditioned beliefs from us and deciding this is how I want it to look. I love that.
Adriana, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast, guys. I'm not sure if I mentioned at the start, but if you want to listen to a little bit more of Adriana's story and her go into detail about sort of how she got to where she is at the moment, please go back to episode 6 of the Millennial Business Podcast and you can listen to it there. We dove straight into the goodness today, and I am so glad that we did, because I freaking love all of the content that we covered in the episode. Can you please tell people about your sessions that they can do with you, because they're freaking life-changing and I love them, so everyone needs to know about them.
Yay, of course. Firstly, yes, thank you so much. I could talk about this stuff forever and a day, clearly, but I had to stop somewhere. Essentially what I do, I combine a series of modalities, I guess, so to speak, and what I do when I'm coaching, it's all of this beautiful kind of mindset work, and we can dive really, 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 really deep. But the most beautiful thing is that when I'm doing the one-on-one sessions, which is energy work sessions, it's combining this use and this ability that I can see the mindset side and the trauma and the limiting beliefs with the fact that we can do energy work together. So it's going in like we did with you and looking at what I call chakra point energy. So looking at scanning through your body and looking through, where are we stuck? Where do we have stuck energy? Or where do we have blockages? Where can we amplify energy? You know, maybe through your solar plexus, there's ideas bubbling like through your stomach, and there's something brewing in you that you can't quite put your finger on, and then we get to put our finger on it and we get to look at it, and I get to dissect it for you and pretty much just explain everything I see in your energetic field, from past, present, future. Every session is so unique. So I love that. I love that, you know, we can talk to spirit if we want to. We can do mediumship. We can focus on amplifying your gifts. We can focus on moving you through limiting beliefs. We can focus you on love and relationships. Whatever is meant to come through will come through. And it's really taught me a lot about trusting that the person in front of me will always get what their highest good needs. And even before I came on this podcast, I said my little mantra, my little prayer, and it was that, you know, give the people what they need to hear. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what we end up talking about. And it's really about, I said I give the people what they need to hear. And I love that in my work every day, I get to do that, whether it's one-on-one, in my group sessions, in private client work, and it's magic. Obviously, I think it's magic. And if it is something people are interested in, like, or if they're not so sure about how it works, like, I'm super open to explaining that, and definitely can find out more about me. All the things, random things I post about me, everything of mine lives on Instagram. And I'm sure Taylor will pop it there. Eventually, I am getting a website. I've been very lucky to have manifested my entire business. And I don't have anything else yet. It's been like a year and a half. So, I mean, blessing. So that will all be there too. And I share lots of, you know, free content, extra tidbits, bits about my life too. And I adore sharing this with more and more people and reminding them that the answer is already within you, and that just to open your heart simply and easily.
I love it. Adriana, thank you so much for joining me. Guys, I hope you found so much value. I love talking about this stuff. I love combining the woo-woo with the business and how we can make more money and succeed and all of this sort of stuff, because it's just the best of both worlds, right? So thank you for joining me, guys. Thank you for listening. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to my podcast, that would be amazing. If you want to check out my new YouTube channel, I have just started a channel. It's going to be sharing everything to do with mindset, personal development, basically how you can become the best version of yourself possible. So I'd love for you to check it out. It's Taylor Victoria. But yeah, until the next episode, bye! If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you can get weekly updates as to when I put out new videos around personal development, mindset, and basically how you can become the best version of you possible. And don't forget, if you feel like you need support in any of these areas, please reach out to me, coachtaylorvictoria@gmail.com. I'll be able to give you any support that you need and help you out with anything that you could possibly think of. And until the next episode, I'll see you later. Bye!